Hi, everyone. Welcome to That Other Laura Ingram's podcast. Now, probably I won't be making another podcast for like a month or so after this. With everything that's been going on in the world, I felt compelled to put my voice out in defense of Black Lives Matter last week and to talk about systemic racism. So that was last week, just as a reminder. And protests and things are still going on. And now this week, I feel I need to talk a little more. I feel shaken a bit, but in the middle of just trying to take care of my little family and my day-to-day life. And so I've decided to talk again, just talk. And then I'll be done for maybe a month because really my goal was maybe a bi-weekly podcast. And definitely for sure I've put out like a deluge of thought lately. So this will be my third podcast that I will have produced in the past 2 weeks, so with everything that's going on. And I felt like it was needed. So let's talk. Yesterday was my daughter's birthday. We went to the store, our Whole Foods, of course, with masks on and everything, but she was super excited. She picked out cupcakes for her birthday. I love cupcakes. I'm the cake queen, she says to the clerk, who is saying she picked just the best ones. We ended up with a pretty healthy variety. A vanilla with baby blue buttercream icing, 2 chocolate, 1 vegan double chocolate. Mom, you can have that one. It's vegan, she says. Probably also the most fattening one there, but okay, I can't say no. She even picked out a berry tart for her brother since he doesn't like cake. For her last birthday, we had a decent-sized party at a local indoor playground, and though the planning and coordination was kind of involved, it was a lot of fun. This year we went tiny. The school year just ended this past Friday, and I've been so proud of her because despite all the social distancing and remote learning and my ex and I maintaining a full-time work schedule, somehow we got through it. Just last week, one of her teachers exclaimed on one of her assignments, "Amazing job with your writing. You rocked it." On one of the many, many, many apps I receive parent notifications on. My son is in middle school. That means 7 teachers that I swear don't realize how much their neediness and attention seeking comes across kind of just like the preteen students that they teach. Every day they send an email about a work assignment or a Zoom meeting or a clarinet practice or something or another I need to run and pick up from the school. And despite my full-time workload, I try to encourage them too. I'm kind of proud of myself for taking it all in stride, although I've definitely had my days. I've shown up to the office just barely put together, with hair that could use a wash, a loose-fitting mom sweater, V-neck barely hiding that I'm still wearing a sports bra underneath, quickly sorting and filing paperwork and connecting with whichever vendors and coworkers I need to before heading back to my workstation at home, where I spend hours poring over emails and statements and reports, and then more hours doing data entry, and then somehow, by some fashion, I find time to put dinner on the table. Sometimes it's mom's spaghetti. Sometimes I make shepherd's pie, or other times it's gallo pinto, a South American type of fried black beans and rice with veggies. Sometimes it's chicken tikka masala, and a lot of the times the kids will help me. My daughter, a lot of the time, is so eager, I find myself saying, "Wait, not yet. Hold up." We need to finish this part first. She's starting to understand the measuring cups, and we're just beginning to talk about how 1 cup is 2 half cups, and how a half a teaspoon is 2 quarter teaspoons. I remember doing this with my son. He's the brain and the comedian of the household. His favorite thing right now is to quote one of his favorite YouTube shows, Pitch Meeting, on the Screen Rant channel. "I'm gonna need you to get all the way off my back right now, Mom." I shoot back, "Okay then, I'll get off that thing." And then he does the thing that I'm asking him about. He's a good boy. The last thing he made with me, he came to me with this recipe for butterbeer, which is from Harry Potter. That was fun to make. A little bit of a mess with all the liquids and extracts and cream, but it wasn't too difficult. The two of them mostly did it on their own this time, and they enjoyed it. Big smiles all around. Sometimes I love to cook. Sometimes I do love ordering pizza. And it's no understatement lately to say I barely have time to get in the shower before heading to bed sometimes. It's been busy. Every mom, every parent really has to be maxed out busy right now. I can see that. The summer program through my kids' school isn't physically happening this year, but the lady reached out to me. She told me they were providing games, books, projects, and other things for the kids to do over the summer. So nice of them, really, to provide that. Last Wednesday she called, and I thanked her, and I told her I'd be by to pick it up the next day after work. So there's a lot going on, and yet I am somehow, for some reason, also trying to go back to school and finish a degree right now. I have no idea how I'm going to cram that in, but it starts just next week. Maybe I deserve that double chocolate vegan cupcake. My son will come and see me and give me a big hug. "I love you, Mom." My daughter, still small, jumps up on top of my lap. "You're the best mom ever." That's definitely worth it. I ended up needing to work late last Thursday and didn't think about it a whole lot because the kids were with my ex for the week. And I totally forgot I needed to pick up those summer camp materials. Checking my voicemail on the way home, the coordinator had called again. "Hey Laura, I know you're both working a ton. I noticed you didn't make it out today, and that's okay. I'm just going to drop these off at your door for Evie. I hope she and you and all have a great summer. Let us know if you need anything." And there it was when I came home. 2 bags filled with art supplies, an exercise mat, balls, books, pens, dominoes, puzzles, and all sorts of goodies. When my daughter came in and saw it, she said, "Are those my birthday presents? You forgot to wrap them and hide them, Mom." That night that we had the butterbeer, my son wanted to also watch Harry Potter while we were drinking it. He wanted the full experience. It's his favorite series of movies and books, both. Now, last Friday, I saw JK Rowling had launched a series of unexpected and kind of strange tweets. "If sex isn't real," she says, "there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased." Who's saying sex isn't real, Joanne? I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. Oh, and trans people erase sex somehow? I'm not getting it. She goes on to say, "It isn't hate to speak the truth." Maybe you're confused, Rowling. I'll give that to you. But the tweets go on. "The idea that women like me..." Okay, Joanne, so it's about you. That's fine. I know what it's like to need some attention. How did Polania put it? Most women know this feeling of being more and more invisible every day. The idea that women like me, who've been empathetic to trans people for decades, feeling kinship because they're vulnerable in the same way as women, i.e., to male violence. Okay, what? Kinship to trans people? Vulnerable in the same way as women to male violence? Okay, so are you saying sex is real or that it's not? And what exactly are you trying to say? Trans women aren't women? What are they then? Are you trying to defend them or accuse them of male violence exactly, Joanne? To think that women like me hate trans people because they think sex is real and has lived consequences is a nonsense. You say one thing and then go the other way, girl. You're coming off as just totally and completely fake, pretentious, and insincere. Cloak and dagger hateful to me. This is totally unexpected. Here we are, just a few weeks back, my children drinking butterbeer and watching Harry Potter with me. They're playing with one of your children, Joanne, your fourth, while you go on to birth confusion, fear, and hate for other women, for other children's mothers. I remember going to the parent-teacher conference last year when we changed schools in the middle of the year. My ex and I were in the middle of fighting for custody for our children. I had met with my son's teacher alone, just my son, her, and me, and we discussed his progress at his old school. I remember vividly talking about how much he loved the Harry Potter books. He was on his third book at the time, The Prisoner of Azkaban. He told the teacher Sirius Black was his favorite character. And of course, she was knowledgeable. Everyone can speak Potter speak. For my daughter's teacher, my ex and I went together for the conference, which was new. The teacher was mostly talking to me. I had been in contact with her for weeks already, since the children had changed schools, by email, but this was the first we'd been able to make an appointment. My ex clearly felt uncomfortable, barely speaking. When and if my ex did speak up and say anything, I felt like questions were largely being ignored. See, I didn't like that. My ex is Hispanic, and I don't say this a lot, I spoke up, but I think maybe you should know that I'm transgender. The teacher looked at me stunned, then smiled big. Oh, wow. Well, thank you for telling me. We're big on LGBT representation here and support. Thank you so much. It was hard at the last school. We were in the middle of nowhere, up in St. Helens. Oh, yes, I know the area, she agrees with a laugh. I continue. But the children have never been in an area where they've seen other types of families and seen respect and support for them. We lived in Indiana before that, and then in Florida. And no one ever really treated them extremely poorly, but they just didn't see other families like their own. They didn't see them talked about. They thought they were the only ones. You see, I actually transitioned about 8 years ago now. And I feel like my ex-wife is uncomfortable a lot of the time because she thinks people assume she's LGBTQ when she isn't at all. She's not even a really big ally or knows much about it. And that's okay. That can be tough, I think, if you're a single mom. I know it is for me when I tell people I have an ex-wife. People's opinion of me can suddenly change drastically. So if you're single and you're looking, I know that could be tough too. I don't think she's used to being that open. The teacher looked at my ex, suddenly getting it. They need to have pride in their family when they're in school. They need to feel good about themselves and about us. My ex-wife and my friendship began to slowly improve after that. She had been fighting particularly dirty with me, having dead-named me in court using a name no one, including her, had used to describe me for over 7 years. This led me to feeling overwhelming, obsessive pain, which I also had not felt for years. Dysphoria. It was a really low blow amidst some of the other lies and accusations. With my lawyer's arguments, the judges here in Oregon removed the name and gender from the case and continued, and we eventually mediated our terms to half time for each of us, a little after this conference with the teacher took place. Do you want to go out to eat and talk about settling? My ex asked me afterwards, after the conference was over. I read one of Rowling's other tweets. It's commenting on an opinion article about creating a more equal world for people who menstruate within this whole COVID-19 crisis. People who menstruate, she scoffs. I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Wumben? Wimpund? Wummud? We never talk about mom being trans. Another reason why what my ex had done in court was totally underhanded. It's not something we talk about as a family. We have once or twice. It's not something we aren't aware of, but it's not a daily part of life. But I feel the need to maybe talk to my kids about this. I feel like maybe having a talk on it can help them not get emotionally blindsided later, the way I feel now. Does Rowling really think there aren't children out there reading her books with moms who aren't also transgender? On Friday night, I decided to get the kids together and ask them about some of the tweets she made and have a little talk about it.
She kept on tweeting over things she doesn't have to tweet about.
Mama. So she's just writing things that she's just writing about random things, even though because like she's writing about random things that I don't think people have to hear, right? You could keep that to yourself.
Oh, you guys love Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter. I was really saddened to hear this because it just makes me feel like, wow, I'm not sure how I even feel anymore. I mean, I know that I love the story, but like I feel really hurt.
Oh, how we should react.
And that's how I feel. She just kind of assumes that she doesn't have fans that have, a mom that's trans or have a dad that's trans or
a teen.
Children that are affected by their views of their parents, by the things that she decided to say, affected by bullying at school. And you guys don't really face that because we don't talk about this subject a lot, do we?
No.
If we made this a part of our conversation that we always talked about,
that would just kind of be awkward.
Well, when have you ever thought of me as differently?
Never.
Not different.
So, I don't remember anything before.
Right, exactly. How do you feel about what she said, knowing that this is just how things are, and that she basically is calling out people like me that don't even talk about this sort of thing, but she wants to talk about it and tell you that your mama doesn't exist the way that she is.
I think it doesn't affect how much I like Harry Potter. It just affects my view of her. Yeah. I don't like it, but like I said, she does a Wizarding World website.
I always thought she was not.
Don't interrupt your brother.
She talked about Harry Potter a lot, and I feel like it affects me being on that more.
The story is wonderful. I love the story, and I think that that came from a place, and from what I understand, she wrote Harry Potter when things were really difficult for her. So, I mean, a lot of times when people write things like that during a time of difficulty, they find these loving things that everybody agrees with, and I think that's where Harry Potter came from. But if I was gonna, would I read anything new from her? I just don't think I would.
I was gonna say that, that I always thought she was nice, but she can affect someone, like, and it could affect trans people who like love Harry Potter. It affects me by, well, seeing other people's heart. When someone hurts, I feel like I get hurt too, and I just don't like it.
That's really sweet. That's really sweet, darling. Do you think that JK Rowling's tweets maybe put people in danger?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
With Corona healthcare?
Yeah.
Being free, yes.
But the next morning, the day that we were celebrating my daughter's birthday, more bad news. The Trump administration has stripped transgender people of their healthcare rights and finalized the healthcare regulation to define gender under a strict understanding of biological sex. I don't even need to read the article. I already know what this means. It means that doctors can refuse to treat trans people for even their most basic healthcare issues. I've had this happen to me before the protections were in place. A while ago, early in my transition. But I can't think about that right now. I have my daughter's birthday to celebrate today. As hard as it is, I push it from my mind. We go to Whole Foods. We buy the cupcakes. We go home. We eat burgers. And I set up the cupcakes neatly in a triangle with my daughter's sky blue buttercream vanilla cupcake up front, a candle which I've carefully lit at the top. We all sing happy birthdays and eventually dig into the heavenly cupcakes Evie chose. They're good. I could get lost in the chocolate right now. But the attack on my rights keeps popping up into my head, and I keep pushing it away. It's raining outside. We can't go to the beach like we planned today. I'm sorry. What would you like to do instead, baby? Well, she wants to watch Steven Universe all together. Okay, we do that. I'm so glad it's not Harry Potter. I don't think I could take it. And Garnet sings, "This is who we are. This is who I am. And if you think that you can stop me, then you need to think again. 'Cause I am a feeling, and I will never end. I won't let you hurt my planet. I won't let you hurt my friends. Go ahead and try to hit me if you're able. Can't you see that my relationship is stable? I know you think that I'm not something you're afraid of, 'cause you think that you've seen what I'm made of. But I am even more than the two of them. Everything they care about is what I am. I am their fury. I am their patience. I am a conversation." Thank you for listening. Obviously, a lot has happened since last Friday. Just yesterday, just Monday, the Supreme Court of the United States ensured workers' rights for gay people and for trans people as well. And even beyond that, the term gender identity was used as a legal term by the Supreme Court of the United States for the first time ever. So that's actually a huge thing. It's a huge win, despite the attack on healthcare. And the attack on healthcare is definitely still a big thing for transgender people. However, there are some other things to think about. In 2017, a federal judge in Pennsylvania found that gender dysphoria was actually protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So that's one thing. It doesn't include all transgender people. It only includes transgender people that are so dysphoric that they are able to get a diagnosis. And I say that kind of separating because some transgender people, they already know, so they haven't lived a life under a gender that didn't work for them long term. That's actually what develops gender dysphoria, is living this life that you feel uncomfortable with. Gender dysphoria is not actually the differences in the brain. It is the feeling that comes with being forced to live something that you're not. We've been able to catch people that were trans and help them transition before they go through this mental anguish. And with how things were under the Obama administration, we were able to catch people that were transgender before they had developed dysphoria. And Trump's rule on gender being biological sex, even though sex is a spectrum, it could leave a lot of very traditionalist people that don't particularly understand the science behind biological sex to be very staunch and hurtful of their children and of transgender people at large. And it definitely could still keep transgender people from receiving health care that they need by allowing doctors to claim that they are not either biological sex or whatever they want to say. So it is a rule that paves the way for people to discriminate against transgender people in healthcare. And it's still a very big thing. But like I said, gender dysphoria is considered a disability, and so it is somewhat covered under that, but not entirely. Um, it was really more about workers' rights, again, which was just affirmed by the United States Supreme Court. So there's a lot of work to still be done. But that feeling of complete loss and complete hopelessness that I actually had over the weekend is gone. I feel as if I am able to move on and continue fighting and continue talking about the things that I need to. Because, first of all, as a woman, as a mom, it's most important for me to protect my children. And so that's what I do when it comes to these situations is if I have to, I will be silent because my relationship with my children is very important and it would be damaging to them for that to end abruptly or for it to be challenged the way it continues to be challenged right now. And I love them very much, and I dedicate this podcast to them. And you guys, I love you too. You take care. Follow this podcast. Look for me on Patreon. Do what you do. I appreciate the support. Thank you.